All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm chairperson of the Committee of Adjustments. My name is Phil Pocock. The order of today's meeting will be under my direction. All items on the agenda must be acknowledged by myself prior to any discussion, presentation, or decision. When I acknowledge you to speak, you can call me as chair. Please be advised that all proceedings and decisions of this Committee of Adjustment are undertaken without bias or conflict of interest. If there's any conflict of interest, members of the committee, including myself, will declare the conflict either at the beginning of the meeting or may declare it prior to the application being heard. All members of the audience that wish to speak will be able to do so when acknowledged by myself in accordance with the published agenda. When invited to speak, please approach the podium at the back of the room, turn on the microphone to speak by pressing the button. Wait a second or two, the microphone will turn blue before speaking. We ask that all in attendance be respectful and speak to the application at hand only. Any topics or discussions that deviate from the application at hand will not be tolerated. All members in the public that wish to speak will be granted a maximum of 5 minutes. Please also note that the meeting is being live streamed to the town's YouTube page. And we'll do the land acknowledgement. Ian?
Chair, we acknowledge that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of the First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi peoples, and of the Huron-Wendat peoples. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial.
I'll introduce everyone in the committee. At the far back is Ian Rawlings, the junior planner. Beside him is Rita Jabor, manager of planning services. Beside her is Shailene Mayu. She is the planning intern. Then you got Dan Sauve, committee member, Doreen Lester, committee member. To my far right, Bill Baker, committee member, and Marcia Bhakta, secretary, right? And myself, Phil Pocock. All right, and now we'll just go declare conflict of interest if any. Not seeing any. Adoption of published agenda for June 17th, 2025. Moved by Doreen, seconded by Bill. Adoption of minutes for Committee of Adjustment meeting May 21st, 2025. There. Moved by Doreen. Seconded by Dan. All in favor? Good. All right. And before we go to the applications, once the application is heard and decision made, if this application that pertains to you, you're more than welcome to leave after. Oh. I'll move. We have to move for the Committee of Adjustment meeting June 27th to be received. Doreen, Dan, all in favor? Good. All right, application A05-25. Ian?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Just going to wait one moment for the presentation. All righty. Our first application tonight is the property 205 Center Street. The subject property is designated residential in the Town of Essex official plan and is zoned residential district 1.1 in the Town of Essex zoning bylaw. Subject property does not contain any natural heritage features or items identified under the Ontario Heritage Act and is not located in a floodplain development control area and is not located within the Essex Region Conservation Authority's limit of regulated area. The property is approximately 838 square meters in lot area and currently contains a single unit dwelling and several accessory structures in the rear yard. Next slide, please. So the applicants are looking to construct an additional dwelling unit that is 70 square meters in gross floor area to be located 5 feet from the rear lot line. Next slide, please. So therefore, due to the location, The applicant is requesting relief from section 8.15C11 of the zoning bylaw, which states an additional dwelling unit located in a detached accessory or auxiliary building shall be permitted in a rear yard except a required rear yard. The subject property is currently zoned residential district 1.1, which requires a minimum rear yard depth of 7.5 meters or 25 feet. So here we have the applicant site plan detailing the location of the existing dwelling, the parking area, the proposed ADU, and accessory structures in the rear yard, as well as some accessory structures that they do plan to remove. Next slide, please. So here we have some renderings of the ADU itself as well. You can see all four sides, and you have some pretty detailed renderings as well. Next slide, please. So here we have the access to the property and the subject property itself. Here we have the rear yard where the ADU will be located. And you can also see to the side, to the left-hand side, a bit of the accessory structure that's noted on the site plan to be removed. Next slide, please. And then here we have a snapshot of the entire rear yard as well, where you can see the rest of the accessory structures and the amenity area within their rear yard. Next slide, please. And then lastly, I wanted to include an image that details the neighboring lands to the adjacent to the rear yard as well, for which this ADU is encroaching closer to. Next slide. So when assessing a minor variance application, there are 6 tests that the application must be assessed under. The first being to ensure the intent of the official plan is maintained. So currently, the official plan facilitates ADUs on full servicing and supports the reduction of non-hazardous setbacks to support such intensification. The next is that the intent of the zoning bylaw is maintained. And currently, the intent of the 7.5 meter or 25 feet rear yard setback is to ensure private amenity space is available and an adequate amount of separation between neighboring land uses is maintained. The location for the ADU to encroach closer to the rear lot line is to ensure more room is available for private amenity space so that the applicant can efficiently utilize land on the subject property. Buffering between land uses at the rear of the lot line is available through the placement of several trees and shrubs. And the neighboring lands adjacent to the rear yard are manicured and used as private amenity space for the existing residential dwelling. The proposed ADU does not infringe on the privacy or the ability to develop on the neighboring lands adjacent to the rear lot line. Now, the next test is to ensure that it is minor for the reduced setback. And currently, the ADU is reflective in mass and location of a typical accessory structure for the R1.1 zoning district within a primary settlement area, which would abide by the zoning regulations outright. So the applicant would be required to maintain their own stormwater runoff, and the building department has reviewed the provided plans and has provided no objections at this time. Therefore, impacts to site circulation, drainage capabilities, fire separation, and any other anticipated impacts due to the location of the structure itself are not expected. Of course, rear yard amenity space is still provided between the accessory structure, between the ADU and the main dwelling. Now, the variance proves desirable as it allows the applicant to maximize the amount of land available within their rear yard for private amenity space while supporting residential intensification. The location of the ADU will utilize mature trees at the rear of the property as a buffer between land uses, and the reduction of the rear yard setback is in line with legislation that mandates intensification where full municipal services are available. It's also important to note that there is a chain link fence that provides buffering between the rear yard and the neighboring lands. Now, this isn't quite a privacy fence. However, both property owners maintain the ability to construct a privacy fence should they please. However, we have not included that as a condition. Now, the second last test is to ensure that the established character of the neighborhood is maintained, which we believe it is, as the additional dwelling unit will be located in the rear yard, remains smaller in scale compared to the main dwelling, and would reflect the size and location of an accessory structure already permitted. The applicant is required to provide an additional on-site parking space in accordance with the zoning bylaw, and no new accesses are constructed, so there's no increase in traffic or parking issues. And then lastly, the variance is required to facilitate the development of a detached additional dwelling unit to be constructed on a lot that was developed prior to the implementation of the ADU regulations. Next slide, please. So the application was circulated to all internal and external agencies and property owners within 60 meters of this property. IRCA has detailed no objections at this time, and Infrastructure Services has indicated no objections as well. No comments from the public were received at this time either. So at this point, the Planning Department is recommending approval, subject to the condition that the applicant applies for a building permit. Next slide, please. And here, just to list the options that the committee has today, they can approve the application with or without conditions. They can choose to defer the application, or they can choose to deny the application. However, if they choose to defer or deny, they have to state their reasoning. Thank you.
Mr. Sanderosa, do you have anything to add to Ian's presentation? No? Oh, yeah, please go to the back to the, thank you.
House, I think it's the right side. There's been damage with a large tree a few years ago, and that's another reason why we want to get it back further. And even with the house, the ADU, if it's going to be 20 feet off the back, or it's like just in the middle of the yard. So that's what all I have to say there.
Anyone from can you turn off the mic there, please? Anyone from the committee have any questions? Oh, no. Oh, is that another? Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm the applicant, so it's my residence. I have a picture showing you exactly what happened the one winter where we had a ice storm, where all the branches in front of that tree were falling down. My yard was full completely. And our concern is if we put it where they originally intended us to put the EDU according to the bylaw, it in the future may get struck because the tree is still there. So that's why we want to get it back further. And the other reason is because then the person, my son, who's going to be in there, will be able to come out and enjoy the backyard. It'll be his front yard, our backyard, his front. So anyway, if you want to see the pictures of the branches that fall or fell, I can show them to you. Anyone? No? Okay. I think that's about it. Oh, we are putting up insulation, sound insulation inside the EDU to prevent noises coming from there either. Even though that the neighbors have a good buffer in their own yards as well. And they have their own garages in the back of their yards, which still has a good distance from their residential area. So I don't foresee a problem with any of that. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the audience? Oh, you do? Okay, go ahead there, Bill.
Mr. Chair, to the applicant, I guess. Question, not more so a question, but the private amenity space that you have between your current residence and the new ADU is how much? Because I couldn't see the drawing there. What is the distance between the new ADU that's going to be built in front of it and the back of your current residence? So that's the amenity space we're talking about.
Oh, I see.
Is that? Anybody?
Of the
The
actual-
planning might have that question. Thank you. Okay, so So we're talking 2.1 meters, is that correct? So 9 feet? That doesn't sound right. No.
That sounds right.
So you don't, wait, hang on, I got it. Sorry, 66.5 feet.
That sounds better.
Okay, so that's, so, and while I'm in favor of ADUs, and I think we looking for this, 66.5 feet of private amenity space is more than the typical front yard of any house in a neighborhood.
Yes, I know, but it's also our backyard. That's,
No, understood, understood. But what we're looking for is relief from 5 feet to, from 25 feet to 5 feet.
yes,
And the tree was the only obstacle in a way to having that altered and moved up a little bit closer to the house so that there is a
yes,
little more private amenity space for your neighbor in the back, given that, you know, even though there's open space there in the future, they may want something like a pool, et cetera, whatever. Was there any, my question then is, was there any opportunity to move it closer other than the tree as a factor? And is the tree a factor?
well, the tree is a factor for me because I don't want to put that much money into an EDU and then have a tree crash down on it. I realize there's
And-
insurance, but
Sure.
I don't want to put up a new building.
Sure, no opportunity to have that tree pruned and trimmed?
That's. It's the neighbor and
Oh, I see.
anyway, I do have a picture of our back lot, the neighbor back there.
Yeah, I was at the house. I see that. So
Yeah,
the-
and there's a good space even still between our yard and theirs. So even if we do put it
5
back,
feet is 5 feet.
yeah,
Just-
if it's 5 feet from our lot
Mhm.
line,
Mhm.
they've still got their,
But that doesn't mean in the future they could want to put a pool up 5 feet from their property line. It's just a question. I just want to say the tree is on the neighbor's property, correct? Have
Yeah.
you approached the neighbor about pruning the tree? So that,
it has been pruned to a point, but it's
Okay.
an old tree and they're prone to, in fact, they actually have another tree at the back of the neighbor's lot. It has a sizable chunk missing out of it. And it went and took down the
Okay.
fence of the back behind neighbors. And it ran into the back neighbor on the right side has a garage and that tree slammed into their roof.
all right, so again, my question is you've made every opportunity to place this where it has to be then, right?
Well, that's what we're hoping to do.
All right, okay, that's my question. Thank you.
When the public have something to say, please state your name too and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Donna Flood. I'm from 202 Victoria. I'm back to back. It'll be my property that he's encroaching or getting really close to. I don't have an objection to the building being put up at all. My concern is down the road, like he had said, if I sell my home, how is that going to affect me selling my home with a home very, with the property line being so short between our two properties? If we do decide to build something like a pool or something back there, if it is me that stays there, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I understand his reasoning for wanting it, absolutely. My concern is just down the road, if I, like that's very close and there is some distance. I know he doesn't want to put it too far up, but can we make a compromise between, the distance, moving it a little bit forward, or maybe a privacy fence per se going up between the two properties? Just so that it kind of is the buffer for my property. Yes, I do have a huge backyard. I agree with that 100%. But if we are in our backyard, I just don't want it to be an issue for that. Is that okay? Anyway, that's all like I said, I totally agree with why he's doing it and what he wants it for. That's very important to me as well. I just want to make sure that I'm being protected as well, because that is quite close to my property line. I mean, he's got a garden there at this point in time, and it's right close to the property line. So that's my only concern, is that it is very, very close. And if something down the road or when I go to sell my property there are issues with that being so close to my property. Thank you.
Anyone else? Not seeing, I have a couple questions to administration. The last time we had a secondary dwelling come to us, they're asking for 3 feet in one corner. How is 20 feet variance a minor variance? To me, it's a major variance and should be going to council.
Through you, Chair. For a minor variance, we have to look at it in a qualitative perspective and not just quantitative. It's what we really look at is the impacts. If this were looking at the impacts and towards, sorry, I'm trying to formulate my comments here, but we really want to see what the impacts are to the neighboring property. So in this case, it was the rear neighbor. If this property or this ADU was much taller than what could already be permitted in terms of, I'm going to take an accessory structure, for example. If it wasn't reflective of the size of an accessory structure, then it might not have been something we support, but we really look at the impacts. And in reviewing this, we don't see or foresee any impacts with an ADU being set back so far. So we have no concerns and we were able to support it as minor through that fact.
Well, as of now, I'm sorry about your tree. That doesn't affect my opinion. I don't know what the rest of the committee is, but I know I'm going to deny this application. But if the committee so wants to move it as to approve it, I would go with it. I would hope that they have a privacy put in as a condition. But anyways, Doreen?
Sure. This is a question for the planner. If it was an ADU, what's the required setback for an ADU?
Through you, Chair, it is reflective of the zoning of the property. So this property being zoned residential 1.1, their setback is 25 feet from the rear lot line, or sorry, 7.5 meters.
Or even if it was a shed, be set back that far? Accessory, yeah.
My mistake. Accessory structure. An accessory structure would have to be 1.2 meters from the rear lot line or 4 feet.
Any other things? All right, I'm looking for a motion. Doreen, go ahead.
Motion to grant the application with the conditions noted by Mr. Rawlings, as well as the condition that a 6-foot board-on-board fence be added to the rear of the property before occupancy is permitted.
They have a seconder? Okay. Okay, seconded by Bill. Everyone in favor? Doreen approved. Anyone denied? Any denied? Deny, oh, well, okay, so that motion has failed, so we need to go with another motion. Does anyone have another motion? Go ahead there, Dan.
Chair, my motion would be to meet halfway on the allowance. So if it's 25 feet, the applicant's asking for 5. I would say 15 feet from the property line would be my motion to grant as a condition amongst the conditions that administration has.
All in favor? Oh, sorry. Question. Yep.
Can they amend the application without a deferral?
Rita?
You and through the chair to Member Lester's question. So the Planning Act doesn't allow a committee to make modifications to an application for minor variance at the hearing. So it's advised that it be deferred and a new application be brought forward that reflects a different setback. But this committee does not have the authority under the Planning Act to amend a decision when it's at the hearing stage. That's only applicable for a consent or a severance application.
That motion will not work, so go ahead there, Dan.
Amend that, then I would defer this to come back with a modified setback.
All in favor? I'm okay with deferring. Okay, that's where we're at. Thank you. So your application's been deferred. If you want to come back and modify it, then it's your call. All right. Okay, so now we're going to move on to application A60625, 4493 Fourth Concession Road. Ian?
Through you, Chair. Okay. So our next application tonight is for the property 4493 Fourth Concession Road. The subject property is designated rural residential in the Town of Essex official plan and is zoned agricultural district 1.1 in the Town of Essex zoning bylaw. The subject property does not contain any natural heritage features or items identified under the Ontario Heritage Act and is not located in a floodplain development control area. A portion of the property is located within the Essex Region Conservation Authority's limit of regulated area. The subject property is approximately 13,000 square meters in lot area and currently contains a single unit dwelling and one accessory structure in the rear yard. The applicants are proposing to convert a portion of, next slide, please. The applicants are proposing to convert a portion of the accessory structure that is existing on the property into an ADU, which will encompass part of the main floor and the entirety of the second floor of the structure. The existing accessory structure currently has a gross floor area of 282 square meters and is located 1.2 meters from the rear lot line and is 2 stories in height, having a total building height of 6.9 meters. Due to the location, the applicant is requesting relief from section 8.15C11 of the zoning bylaw, which prohibits an ADU in a detached accessory or auxiliary building from being located within a required rear yard. The subject property is zoned agricultural district 1.1, which requires a minimum rear yard depth of 15 meters or 50 feet, whereas the applicant is proposing 1.2 meters or 4 feet. Next slide, please. So here we have the applicant's site plan. However, in the next slide, I have a zoomed in portion as well. We'll go to the next slide as well. Thank you. So as I had mentioned, the existing accessory structure has a gross floor area of 282 square meters and is located 1.2 meters from the rear lot line and is 2 stories in height, having a total building height of 6.9 meters. Next slide, please. So the proposal is to convert 119 square meters of the accessory structure into an ADU. Half of this gross floor area is located on the main floor, as depicted by the red border here that you see on the screen, and the other half takes up the entirety of the second floor, with the remaining 163 square meters of gross floor area to remain accessory to the main dwelling, as permitted within the zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. So here you can see the entirety of the second floor, which is encompassed in that red border, to be converted into the additional dwelling unit. Next slide, please. So here we have the images of the property. You can see the access to the property on the left-hand side with the accessory structure with the proposed ADU at the rear of the property. And then you can also see in the picture to the right, the existing house as well. Next slide, please. Here we have the northern facade of the accessory structure in question. Next slide, please. And then here we have the western facade. Next slide. And now we have some images where you can see the lot line of the subject property to the right-hand side on the picture that's on the left, and the neighboring property to the left as well. The applicant has built up the property in accordance with their building permits when they originally built the accessory structure and dwelling. But here we can just see the differences between the property and so on. Next slide, please. And then here we have an image of the neighboring lands to the south, which are currently manicured and are used to support the single detached dwelling and accessory structures on a property fronting County Road 11. Alrighty. Now, when assessing a minor variance application, there are 6 tests that the application must be assessed under. The first being the intent of the official plan. And in this case, we believe the intent is maintained as the official plan facilitates ADUs in agricultural areas and supports the reduction of non-hazardous setbacks. The second being that the intent of the zoning bylaw is met. And for this application, for the setback, a 15-meter or 50-foot rear yard setback within an agricultural zone is to ensure an adequate separation is provided between uses permitted within the agricultural A1.1 zoning district, such as agricultural operations, farming equipment, and so on. The A1.1 zoning district permits a number of uses that are both sensitive in nature and can adversely impact the use and enjoyment of neighboring properties. Now, the neighboring property to the south of the subject lands does not contain any agricultural operations, and the land is currently manicured and maintained as a rear yard to support that single unit dwelling that fronts County Road 11. Therefore, the intent is maintained. Excuse me. The proposed ADU, we believe, is reflective in mass and location of an accessory structure permitted by right within an A1.1 zoning district and conforms to the required building regulations within the zoning bylaw. And the applicant will be required to maintain their own stormwater runoff, as it already should since the structure is constructed. The building department has reviewed the provided plans to convert these portion of the structure into an ADU and has provided no objections at this time. Therefore, impacts to site circulation, drainage capabilities, and such are not anticipated. Private amenity space is still available between the main dwelling and the rear lot line located east of the ADU, and the conversion of the accessory structure will not infringe on the privacy of the neighboring property due to the distance between the existing land uses. No buffering is provided at this time. However, the ability to install a privacy fence between land uses is maintained. Now, we see the variance as desirable and appropriate as it is in line with legislation that mandates intensification through the permittance of the additional dwelling units in prime agricultural areas, subject to provincial policy. The reduced rear yard setback will not adversely impact neighboring lands, and therefore, due to their separation, and we believe that this is appropriate and desirable for the land use. Now, the established character of the neighborhood will be maintained as the ADU will be located in the rear yard, still remains smaller in scale compared to the main dwelling, and will be partially located within an accessory structure as permitted under the zoning bylaw. The applicant is required to provide an additional on-site parking space in accordance with the zoning bylaw, and no new accesses are being created. Therefore, the variance is deemed as compatible and maintains the character area. Lastly, the variance is required to facilitate the conversion of an existing accessory structure into an additional dwelling unit. Next slide, please. So the application was circulated to all internal and external agencies and property owners within 60 meters of the subject property. One comment was received from Infrastructure Services, which indicates that based on the site plan provided, a driveway permit would be required for the driveway approach off of 4th Concession, and that there's a roadside swale and excavation would need to be completed in the town's right-of-way. However, planning has not included this as a condition of the minor variance, as any works that are required can be done so through the building department when the applicant applies for a change of use permit. No comments from the public were received to date. And next slide, please. Now, the planning department is recommending approval subject to the condition that the applicant applies for a change of use permit. Now, change of use permit is required whenever a structure is constructed and then used for something that it wasn't initially constructed for. This ensures it meets items such as Ontario Building Code, has things such as proper fire separation, exits, egress, all of that kind of information. So we have included it as a condition to ensure that it is gone through appropriately. Next slide, please. Now from here, the committee can approve the application with or without conditions. They could defer the application or deny the application. However, if you choose deferral or denial, we ask that you state a reason. Thank you.
Does the applicants have anything to add?
Filipowski, 4493 Ford Concession. Only thing to add is the infrastructure thing, because that was all recently finished built. The closing was on December 6th. The driveway is done all by the permit. It's got culvert and everything is built into the swale. So I don't know if there's some missed paperwork somewhere, because that was passed. That's the driveway for the house. So I don't see why would that be even noted. Otherwise, we don't have any other concerns. We would like to do this for our family, friends, to help out again the community and friends in needs. We have the space. The building was built all by code and above and beyond. So the septic tank is bigger than needed because it goes by certain sizes. So we were at that point, so we had to go with the bigger size. We didn't have a choice. It's a 5-tank septic tank, $65,000. So any issues with that or the building itself, all the rooms have a fire alarms and everything's wired prior, because it's a new build. It was just constructed.
Safety.
Well, we closed in on December 6th. So that was the only comment, and reasoning is, again, help family, particularly our mother-in-law. She lived in Harrow for all her life. She moved out to Windsor with my brother-in-law after she sold her house. My father-in-law passed away a few years ago, and she's been missing. And we said, if you want to come back, we can maybe work something out. You want to do it properly, follow the laws, rules, and add something, said family, friends, or a future for our daughter. We have a daughter, or for us, maybe our daughter's gonna take over the house. We move in with the toys.
I'd like to add though, Chair, sorry. I'm Elaine Filipowski, and I'd like to add that today, actually, we put in for a fence and it
Yeah,
passed,
so
we
the
just
fence
have-
will be built
Yeah.
and constructed on top of the retaining wall.
all by code. Yep.
We were gonna do a chain link fence because there's no concerns with the neighbors for privacy. But if it needed to be a privacy fence on the back wall, 5-6 feet, whatever, if there's a need, there's no problem of doing that. And there was a suggestion to kind of even divide the yard there. It's almost 100 feet. The backyard, technically, they would be shared. The side yard, backyard from the house would be shared between the permanent resident and the ADU to be divided. So even the ADU can have his own yard. Kind of, we can just put up a chain link fence, even if they have pets or stuff. That way we divide our pets aside so they have their own space in the front.
Everyone has their own
In
space.
between, kind of, it can be divided for privacy and, just dividing line if needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Bill?
The question through you to administration is more so for education for myself to understand. First part, we've dealt with this property recently where there's been a development. And so we already passed a 4-foot setback, obviously, with the existing structure, right? So this is really technical then because it's ADU. And do we have to do the minor variance, correct? Because ADUs aren't allowed in there based on the distance separation, right? We are just dealing with technicality here to allow an ADU because it's already a structure within 4 feet distance, correct? That's my first question.
Through you, Chair, yes, that is correct. It's to allow an ADU in an existing structure. So the structure is already there. It's been constructed. It's permitted to be where it is as an accessory structure, but as an ADU, it is not. So there, exactly.
Follow up. And again, I'm in favor of this. I just, for knowledge for myself, minimum distance separation in the future, because it's a farming next to it, does that farming parcel have any opportunity to do livestock in the future? Or what's the minimum distance separation, given that they would be grandfathered into that? I guess it's a question for my knowledge.
Through you, Chair. We did look at minimum distance separation, and we referred back to when these properties were first created. I want to say 2023, end of 2023 is when we saw them. The minimum distance separation formula and how we achieve or ensure that a lot can be created hasn't changed since that time. And so we didn't calculate them exactly for the ADU. However, the lots were created with residential in mind, so that it still abides by the calculations that were made at that time. As for new livestock facilities, they would have to go through minimum different set of calculations through the minimum distance separation formula. And that's based on the type of livestock, how much livestock, where their waste is stored, that kind of item. So it really depends what they're proposing for any agricultural properties and such. Alrighty.
Go ahead there, Dan.
Question to administration on this. Being it is a new construction and has already been constructed, was this something that was already considered during the time of the permit to construct the building? Since it was recent, that's all.
Sure, I'll actually have to direct that to the applicant as I don't know the answer. If they want to give some knowledge into if it was constructed with an ADU in mind at the time, or if that's up to you.
Planning advance, we always thought, again, family, us, our daughter. We kind of had that in mind, planned, but it wasn't constructed to be, but it was in the background. So when we were building the stuff, we did went the extra mile with the electricians, with everything, the contractor people, and we did the wiring was all done. So per se, yes, we did maybe in the future, we did not know the laws or bylaws or what is required. We didn't know any of it, but we did plan because there's a central air installed and everything. That was supposed to be the man cave and all the storage for my outdoor stuff. And we do have a central air installed and everything, the wiring was done. Even the area that proposed for a kitchen was kitchen wiring installed because it's new. I was able to do it because everything was open. The contractors were there doing the work. So we just went the extra mile, but we didn't know that all this is involved or if that's going to be needed in the future till some interest showed up, particularly from my mother-in-law. And then we started thinking about, okay, well, maybe this would be a good thing, what we did, and maybe it will open different doors for us, even as just close family, as I said earlier. But it was thought through previously. And I'm like, well, everything is open. Let's do it now. So that everything was done by quote. Thank you.
Anyone from public? Okay, motion? Seconder? Seconds? All in favor? Approved? Your application's been approved. Have a good night. Okay, we're gonna move on to application B 8025, 61 Bell Street, or Bell Avenue.
Thank you, Chair. Our next application tonight is for the property 61 Bell Avenue. The subject property is designated residential in the Town of Essex official plan and is split zoned residential district 1.1 and residential district 2.3 and is subject to a holding provision in the Town of Essex zoning bylaw. Under the Town of Essex zoning bylaw. The subject property does not contain any natural heritage features or items identified under the Ontario Heritage Act and is not located in a floodplain development control area. The subject property is not located within the Essex Region Conservation Authority's limit of regulated area and the subject property currently contains a single unit dwelling and an accessory structure in the rear yard. Now, the applicants are proposing to sever a 651 square meter parcel from the existing 1,487 square meter residential lot. The retained residential lot is proposed to have an area of 836 square meters, and the applicant is proposing this consent for the creation of one lot. Next slide, please. Now here, I wanted to identify the split zoning that I had mentioned. So on the map provided, you can see at the bottom portion, it is zoned residential district 1.1, and this will contain the retained lands which fronts Bell Avenue. Now the other portion, which you can see is hatched, is zoned residential district 2.3, and is currently subject to a holding provision. Now, holding provision doesn't allow an individual to construct on a property until it is removed. You remove a holding provision, it has to, it's an item that goes to council at this time. And to remove a holding provision, you have to ensure that there's the item is either on a registered plan of subdivision or registered plan, has adequate servicing, or is entered into any other applicable agreements that it's required. At this time, it has not been made a condition that they remove the holding provision, as it's a separate application to council, and that can be done so by the applicants when they see they are ready to proceed forward with the property. Now, another thing I just wanted to note, the residential district 2.3 zone permits medium density residential, such as semi-detached dwellings, single unit dwellings, and townhome dwellings, whereas the residential district 1.1 zone permits low density residential, such as a single, 2, or 3 unit dwelling or semi-detached dwelling. And they all have unique regulations to them as well. Next slide, please. So here we have the applicant's site plan detailing the severed portion. Now they have the specific 12R number that it's located on. So part 3 is the severed lands, and then part 1 there is the retained lands. Now they detailed the location of the existing residential dwelling on part 1, and they've also identified a viable building footprint on part 3. However, this is not proposed to be constructed at this time. It is only used for illustrative purposes to demonstrate that it is a viable buildable lot under its current R2.3 zoning district. Next slide, please. So here we have the subject property. As you can see from Bell Avenue, you can see the access. It is a standard, I would say, residential dwelling, single unit. Next slide, please. And then here you can see the subject property from from Maidstone Avenue, where the severed lands would front. Next slide, please. And then here we also have a few trees on the property, but then also an accessory structure in the rear as well, located on the severed lands. And then the last image is of the rear yard of the retained land, so what would be 61 Bell following the severance. Next slide, please. Now, for the policies that were considered for the consent application, the provincial planning statement and the County of Essex official plan encourages growth and development within settlement areas and encourages intensification through infill development within settlement areas. The proposed lot is considered an infill lot and will have access to available municipal water and sanitary services as required, following the removal of the holding provision. The proposed lots abide by the minimum lot area and lot width requirements for lots within a residential 1.1 zoning district that supports a single unit dwelling. And the proposed lot is considered supports an R2.3 use, being a single unit dwelling, and abides by all regulations as well. And now the proposed lot is considered unique in nature as it fronts Maidstone Avenue West. However, it maintains orderly development and is reflective of other residential lots along Maidstone Avenue West as well as you approach Highway 3. Now, both lots abide by the respecting zoning regulations. However, the structure deemed accessory to a dwelling is not permitted on a lot without a dwelling already on it within a residential zoning district. Therefore, the removal of the accessory structure, which I showcased in one of the images, is required to be removed from the severed lands as a condition of consent. Next slide, please. Now, the application was circulated to all internal and external agencies and property owners within 60 meters of the subject property. Now, one comment was received from Infrastructure Services detailing that sanitary service has already been provided and a water service is available in the southern right-of-way on Maidstone Avenue. Servicing would be achieved through the town servicing policy and utilizing the town's list of licensed contractors. Excuse me. Now, we have received one comment from the public right before the committee meeting began today. This has been forwarded to the committee members, and at the request of the chair, I can read this comment as well following the rest of the application, or sorry, the presentation. Now, next slide, please. So the planning department is recommending approval subject to the following conditions. These are standard conditions for a consent application for the creation of a new lot, such as you registering a surveys if needed, sign transfers, confirmation of all taxes, drain apportionments, and one unique condition being that the accessory structure on the severed lands be demolished. Now the applicant has 2 years to fulfill all of these upon approval. Next slide, please. Now, the committee can approve the application with or without conditions, defer or deny the application, but must state their reasoning. And at the request of the chair, I can read the comment that was provided by the public as well.
Okay, no, maybe let's just go through it quickly.
So I'll go through the comment quickly through you, Chair. The individual, Jill Carteret, and I apologize if I mispronounce the name, of 57 Bell Avenue, has expressed key concerns regarding the loss of privacy, the loss of vistas and natural buffer, negative impacts on property value, incompatibility with the neighborhood character, drainage and construction disruption, and removal of mature trees. That is just a brief recap of the comments that were provided. Thank you.
Does the applicant have anything further to say?
Foremost, the structure that's on the vacant lot behind Bell will be demolished, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. In terms of anyone complaining about this application, I don't think it would be fair to Mr. Vivier. I'm representing Mr. Vivier. I'm his agent. It wouldn't be fair to him because he is paying taxes on this particular piece of property. In terms of trees, I was there today to take a picture, and I know the planning department did show a picture of the trees from the lot. And the person that has a complaint, well, her home is really, the trees aren't really directly behind her home. They're further north of her home. And the 4-foot side yard, it meets code. It meets the required code. And so for today, being here, I'm witnessing people coming in with ADUs. In other words, creating more density on their property. And I feel this severance of this particular lot will create less density than in any ADUs that are built behind someone's home. And to really deny this application, I appreciate the planning department giving their approval on it, would be a travesty for Mr. Vivier. And that's all I have to say.
Any questions from the committee? Not seeing anything from the public? Not seeing anything. Motion from the committee. Doreen. Oh, button.
Grant the application. As noted, sorry, thank you.
Seconder. Bill. All in favor? Motion passed. Thank you. Ian, are you planning on doing all three of these at one time? Okay, so we're gonna do applications B29, B0925, A0725, and B10-25 for 1153 County Road 11. Go ahead, there, Ian.
Thank you, Chair. Now we have our last set of applications tonight, which is for the property 1153 County Road 11. Now, the subject property is designated agriculture in the Town of Essex official plan and is zoned agricultural district 1.1 and the Town of Essex zoning bylaw. The property is currently under agricultural production and contains no structures and is 14.47 hectares in lot area. The subject property is not located within a floodplain development control area, does not contain any natural heritage features, and a portion of the property is located within the Essex Region Conservation Authority's limit of regulated area. Next slide, please. Now, the applicants are proposing to sever a 0.024 hectare parcel and a 0.0011 hectare parcel from the existing 14.47 hectare agricultural lot to be added to the adjacent properties identified as 1169 County Road 11 and 1179 County Road 11, respectively. The retained agricultural lot is proposed to have an area of 14.43 hectares, and the applicant is proposing these consent applications for the purpose of a lot addition and an accompanying minor variance application, and the purpose is to convey the ownership of a row of trees. Now, the receiving lands, 1169 and 1179 County Road 11, are both designated agriculture and zoned agricultural district 1.1. Now, 1169 County Road 11 contains a single unit dwelling and accessory structure in the rear yard, and 1179 County Road 11 contains a single unit dwelling and two accessory structures in the rear yard. I would like to note on our mapping, the property lines and the actual imagery does not line up perfectly in this area. So you can see one of the accessory structures looks like it's over top of a property line. Just wanted to make that clear. Next slide, please. So here we have an image of the subject property. As I mentioned, there are no structures on the property and it is currently farmed. Next slide, please. And now this is the last image that I have, and it is just to detail the row of trees. So this row of trees, this small single strip, is being conveyed to both properties here. Next slide, please. Now, for the policies that were considered for the consent application, this type of severance is considered a minor legal and considered for minor legal and technical reasons and does not result in the creation of a lot. Now, the provincial planning statement and County of Essex official plan permit lot additions for minor legal and technical reasons. The Town of Essex official plan is supportive of the severance as there is no loss in farmland. No lots are created, and the area to be conveyed is minimal in size, and it does not impact the ability of the agricultural operations. Now, the lot addition does result in the reduction of lot area for the subject property, and therefore a minor variance application is required. Next slide, please. Now, as a result of the two consent applications, for the purpose of the lot additions, the lot area for the retained lands will be reduced from 14.47 hectares to 14.43 hectares. Relief is therefore required from section 13.1B2 of the zoning bylaw, which states the minimum lot area for lots within an agricultural district is 40 hectares or as existing. Next slide, please. Now for the policies that were considered for a minor variance application. The intent of the official plan is maintained, of the official plans are maintained, as there will be no change in land use and the lots will be merged with the receiving lands as required. The intent of the zoning bylaw is maintained as there's no further fragmentation of farmland and the retained land encompasses all of the agricultural operation. The reduction is viewed as minor as the site remains agricultural and no new lots are created and no impacts to the agricultural operations are expected. The use is appropriate as it allows the conveyance of a row of trees and there's no impact or change in density or land use of any kind. It's compatible with character neighborhood as there will be, again, no change in land use and there will actually be no visible change, especially from the road. And lastly, circumstances are particular to the site as it supports 2 consent applications for the purpose of lot additions. Next slide, please. So the application was circulated to all internal and external agencies, property owners within 60 meters. IRCA has detailed no objections. Infrastructure Services has detailed no objections, and no comments or objections were received from the public to date prior to this meeting. Next slide, please. Now, the Planning Department is recommending approval of all 3 applications. So that is the severance applications and the minor variance application, subject to the conditions same set of conditions for both severance applications. The standard conditions for a severance, such as new surveys, draft transfers, confirmation of all taxes, drain apportionments, and the property should be merged with their respective receiving lands, and that the variance be granted. The applicant has 2 years to fulfill all conditions, and the minor variance has no conditions attached. Next slide, please. Now, the committee may approve the application with or without the conditions, defer the application, or deny them. However, they must state their reasoning if deferring or denying. We do ask that the committee provide separate motions for each application number for a total of 3 motions, for example. Thank you.
Have anything to add?
Yeah.
So my name's Steve Zaveris. I own the farmland. And actually the couple there, they're the owners of 1169. And over the years, they're interested in buying some property to plant trees. And I said, no, I can't sever stuff like that. So a few years ago, I planted that row of cedars that's in that last photo. And so I said, I'll try and, transfer you like the 10 feet space. And it has straight line for their neighbor also. And today, when I was planting my beans there, I'm thinking, you know what? Afterwards, I'm going to plant it probably another meter or so of grass as a buffer. So when I'm spraying, I don't overspray. I believe in buffer zones. All my farms have trees around them. The original windbreak idea. Well, the front on Walker Road, it's open, and same on my farm on the 3rd. It's open from the road, but around the farm, I maintain trees. I believe in trying to protect nature. Nature's losing all the time, right? The landscape. So that's the reason I just want to convey that 10 feet over to them. And maybe play there. So.
All right, thank you.
Another grass strip.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Not seeing it. Anything from the public? You guys want to say it? All right, looking for a motion for B0925. Moved by Doreen, seconded by Bill.
To approve with conditions if noted.
Thank you. All right, all in favor? Motion passed. Applications A0725. Right there, Bill?
With conditions.
Okay. Dan, all in favor? Pass, motion passed. And the final one, application B10-25. Dan?
To approve with administration's recommendations. For you, Chair.
Seconder, Doreen, all in favor? Good, I think we got you all. All right, you're all, thank you. Thank you.
A lot of paper. Great line.
Have a good day. All right, we've got new business and Bill's gonna speak to it for the verbal report on the OCA conference.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I just want to report on, in May of this year, members of the Town of Essex Committee of Adjustment, Doreen Lester, Dan Sove, and myself, Bill Baker, attended the Ontario Association of Committee Adjustments in Blue Mountain. I previously sent a comprehensive report with all the PowerPoint presentations to administration. Some got through. I don't know if they did or not. But what I want to do, this is a summary report on each of the learning sessions that we had on May 12th and 13th of this year. This is prepared by ourselves collectively. Each session was outlined in this report that you have with an overview followed by key points on each of the sessions, which is formatted in bullet points, so it's summarized, but then again, in the PowerPoint presentations have further details. This provides a quick verbal report on the details and takeaways further, and I really encourage you to go to the PowerPoints and look in each session. Overall conference insights over the 2 days, there were 10 sessions on Monday, 12 sessions, and networking on the Tuesday. The conference provided a rich mix of legal updates, practical skills, strategic insights, and networking for everyone involved in the Committee of Adjustment. Key themes that merged included the need to adapt to continuous change in policy, law, and community needs. The value of clear communications, whether drafting a decision or engaging the public, and the importance of collaboration among committee members, staff, professional, and the community. We came away with practical tools and knowledge from broader issues about improving process and advancing equitable planning. The conference also reinforced a sense of community among Ontario Committee of Adjustment members, bodies, reminding everyone that while municipalities differ, they share many of the same goals and challenges. By applying these lessons learned and staying connected with peers, committee members and staff can enhance our effective contribution to better planning outcomes for the town of Essex. Now, in the report, we're highlighted a number of bullet points and just kind of key comments that you can take a look on the summary. A couple of to note on some of the presentations. One note, there's several, but I just highlighted a few. The Ontario Land Use Planning, which is Hot Topics, was a really good session, which came away with like 5 takeaways, which were revised areas of employment definition, which is a big one. Development charges updates, as we know. I mean, that's right through the province. Parkland dedication changes, which is really important as well. Major transit sessions, which really area doesn't really refer to here, but upper tier planning authority changes, which we all know that's coming. Another one that would be for the committee, understanding roles, responsibilities, and expectations, tips and guidelines for chairs and other panel members. And Phil, it's really good. There's some highlights in there. Take a look at that PowerPoint and for anybody. Yeah, no, I think it's just really good. It's continuous learning for everyone, by the way, including myself. The other one was Wasaga Beach, beachfront and downtown redevelopment. Now that was really, really exciting. What they've done and what they are doing over the 10-year period to redevelop Wasaga Beach from where it was and the lull they had after the pandemic and some developers pulled out. But it does take some really benevolent investors, right? And I think we've got some in our community. I think it's something, a good read for Colchester to take a look at. On day 2, this was another one. You can streamline development review approval process. Okay. This one was an interactive working session on fixing bottlenecks in the development and approval process. They reviewed everything from timing, etc. Some reviews that really were redundant. They reduced their planning time and process by 35%. So it's something interesting to look at. And there's been a lot of discussion too about where the level of approval with the Committee of Adjustments should be landing possibly in the future. where maybe some should land back on administration as opposed to coming to Committee of Adjustment. I'm certainly somewhat in favor of that. The other one, which was really big, was the City of Hamilton re-imaging neighborhoods, projects, and other housing supportive initiatives. Really good. They rezoned a number of areas to do intensification for ADUs in a number of areas. So that one was also very important. All very good, by the way. And our committee thanks you for sending us.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to thank all the members that attended, and thank you so much for putting together that report. That's very thorough, and it clearly shows that, you know, you took an interest and you learned something from this conference, and that's the whole point of sending you there is to help you in your role as committee members. And as always, thank you for all that you do as well. You make very good decisions. Thank you.
And before we end, go Oilers tonight. And looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, we already did this. Oh. Bye.